and that the center of this is many institutes and many hospitals where secular meditation is taught, and they claim that it has many physiological effects. And I'm not going to go into that because I already did that last week. Today we're going to talk about the second type of meditation, which is religious meditation. Actually, all form of meditation originated as religious, but secular people got hold of it to make money and to help people, basically. But religious meditation is basically now coming out of temples and many American and Indian universities where professors are teaching about meditation as it helps people to eliminate anxiety. But more than religious meditation has to do with moksha, has to do with salvation, freedom. So we're going to get into that today. So there are basically, when you talk about religious meditation, you have to talk about yoga or yoga. And what is the meaning of yoga? Yoga, there are two kinds of yoga, Raja Yoga and Hatha Yoga. Raj Yoga is called the kingly yoga, Raja Yoga. Hatha Yoga is physical yoga. So today I'm going to focus on Raj Yoga because it incorporates some of Hatha Yoga. It does not simply talk about different asanas, but it goes deeper into the analysis of metaphysical analysis of the nature of the world, how the world was put together, and how we are, how do we fit into the universe, and what we are as a self or a soul. So when we talk about Raja Yoga, the name of Patanjali comes up often. Most scholars discuss Patanjali. He lived between 2nd and 4th century. There is a lot of discussion and debate about who he was. Most scholars agree that he was probably related with Panini, the great grammarian, who wrote the perfect grammar of Sanskrit in 3rd century. I'm sorry, somebody's on. Am I still on?
Yes, when somebody enters, there was a noise. That's all.
Okay. So we're going to talk about Raja Yoga. As I said, there are two types of yoga, broadly speaking, Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga. Hatha Yoga basically emphasizes different postures. And I'm going to talk about postures today a little bit. But today, Ramdev, if you know anything about Ramdev's yoga, Ramdas, he is emphasizing a lot of Hatha Yoga, and he talks about 32 different asanas. I have his book. I can bring it out to show you. And if you're interested in Hatha Yoga and different asanas that you want to do, to simple to most complex ones, you can use his book. So yoga, the word yoga or yog means to unite. The English word yoke, Y-O-K-E, is based on that word yoke, to unite. So the analogy is that when you take two bullocks to plow the field, you put a yoke on their necks to unite them. Patanjali uses the analogy of horses. When you unite two horses and put a rein or a yoke on it, they bring them together. So that's the basic meaning. So unity or union is of two kinds, according to Patanjali Yoga Sutra. One is Raja Yoga, which has to do with union with God. And we'll get into that a little bit of what does it mean to be united with God. I'm using Patanjali's book, which is translated in English, How to Know God, by Yogananda Paramahansa and Christopher Ishwar. This is an English translation of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. It gives various aphorisms and writes commentary. I will read from it a little later on. So unity is of two kinds, unity with God, or second kind is unity, which is psychological unity, which we call in English self-integration. The common word is, are you united? Are you put together? Are you okay? That kind of understanding, if you mentally sound, mentally together, mentally integrated, that means you are a yogi. You apply yoga to your life. So Raj Yoga is called kingly yoga, and it is what Patanjali emphasized. I
Hey,
want
did
to
you
go, I want to go to my, this was all introduction. My second point that I want to develop is before Patanjali. That means, why did Patanjali write Yoga Sutra? Why did he emphasize yoga? Why did he give what is known as 8 steps to yoga, which is my third point I will develop later on. So before Patanjali, why did Patanjali write around between 2nd and 4th century? Why did he write Yoga Sutra? There are many reasons that the scholars say, and I myself, studying yoga for a long time, find it to be quite accurate. First of all, he is arguing against all atheistic philosophies that came before him. Basically, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sankhya. Usually Sankhya and yoga go together. I'll talk about Sankhya philosophy later. But he is combating, or he is arguing against Buddhism and Jainism, because Buddhism and Jainism both denied the existence of God, but they still use yoga. So the question is, can you use yoga if you're an atheist? And we'll talk about that a little later on. The second reason is that he elaborates on what is discussed in Upanishad. He knew the writings of the Upanishad, which goes from 800 BC to about 2nd century AD. In the Upanishad, the idea of Tattvam Asi is emphasized. Tattvam Asi means that you are Brahman. You are Atman, Atman and Brahman are one. So that notion is emphasized in the Upanishad. Patanjali elaborates on that through yoga system. What does it mean to say you are that you are the ultimate reality, or you are Brahman, or that Atman and Brahman are one and the same? The third reason is that he goes beyond the discussion of Sankhya in the Bhagavad Gita. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, it emphasizes Sankhya also, and Vedant, which is Tattvamasi Upanishad. But Gita gives you different methods of liberation, which I will mention in a bit. So Patanjali works through the Gita, incorporates some ideas from the Gita, but basically the idea of bhakti. Bhakti means devotion, the idea of having a personal deity, devoting yourself to personal God. So yoga for Patanjali can be atheistic, but it's more important to having a theistic understanding of yoga, which we will develop today. Then finally, he brings all the Hindu tradition, all the systems of liberation that they've been talked about till him. Shankaracharya had not lived. Shankaracharya comes into 7th century, who also went to Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita and elaborate on the Upanishad notion of Atman and Brahman and one, which is called monism. The system of Shankara is called theism. Theism meaning the belief in God. So what is the Hindu worldview? Let me review that quickly. And how does Patanjali then work that in his yoga system? If you